It's quiet in my apartment tonight. Been quiet for a while now, in a way that used to feel lonely, but now just feels peaceful. After everything, I'm writing this because I need to process it, I guess. Maybe someone out there will get it. Or maybe it's just screaming into the void. Either way is fine. My name is Owen. I'm in my late 30s. I work in financial tech, something abstract and complex that Dad, my father, always waved his hand at. Computer stuff? He'd call it. A dismissive tone in his voice. It's a good career, pays well, gives me a comfortable life. But it wasn't his world. His world was more traditional, tangible. Building things, making deals with a handshake, coaching Levi's little league team when we were kids. Levi is my younger brother, the golden boy. Married young to Layla, had 2 sons quickly. He works in a field related to Dad's business, something Dad understands and approves of. They have the life Dad always wanted for himself and for his sons, or at least for one of his sons. My role in the family, for as long as I can remember, has been the fixer, the one who handles the complicated stuff nobody else wants to touch, or frankly, is capable of handling. It started small, setting up Dad's first computer, fixing Mom's printer. But it grew. It became managing their finances, setting up and running the entire digital infrastructure for Dad's business, handling legal paperwork, sorting out insurance nightmares, dealing with contractors who try to rip them off. I was the invisible hand that kept a surprising amount of their lives running smoothly in the background. I did it because they needed me to, and maybe because I hoped that by being indispensable, I could earn a place. Earn Dad's approval, Mom's genuine appreciation, a feeling of truly belonging, not just being useful. But the thanks were rare, usually just an expectation. Owen handles that. Just give it to Owen. It was never, thank you, Owen. Father's Day was coming up. I didn't expect a parade. Our family isn't big on grand gestures, or even small, heartfelt ones, honestly. Usually, it's a perfunctory text in the family group chat. Mom, Susan, insists on keeping active, or a quick, slightly awkward phone call prompted by her. A few days before, I'd asked Mom what they were doing, if they had plans. She was vague, almost shifty. Oh, your father and Levi might do something. Just small. I figure maybe a casual brunch, or they'd ask me over for a quick backyard burger. Last minute, as usual. But the weekend arrived, and silence. Not a text, not a call. Nothing from Dad, Mom, or Levi. It felt off, more distant than usual. I told myself they were probably just busy. Maybe they'd call later. Sunday morning, I was just making coffee, scrolling through my phone, minding my own business. And I saw it. It wasn't just a photo buried in my feed. It was a series of posts, highlighted stories, a full-blown visual narrative playing out on Layla's profile, shared by a few other relatives. It was a multi-day family getaway. They were at Lake Arrowhead, at that ridiculously expensive resort Uncle Robert belongs to. The pictures and videos were everywhere. Dad looking jovial on a golf cart, Levi and his sons fishing off a private dock, Layla posing with Mom by the infinity pool, shots of gourmet meals, perfect sunsets. It wasn't just the immediate family. I saw Uncle Robert in several shots, laughing, looking pleased. Robert, Dad's brother, the family enforcer, the man who built his fortune on sharp practices and intimidation. I even spotted cousin Christian, who always seemed to see me as competition, flexing in a picture by the lake. This wasn't small. This was a planned, exclusive, high-status event, meant to showcase a specific kind of family, a specific kind of success. My kind of success, my life, didn't fit this picture. The air in my apartment went instantly cold. My stomach dropped. I swiped through the stories again, every smiling face, every carefully posed picture, every tag confirming their location, the dates. Father's Day weekend. This was the Father's Day celebration, planned well in advance, clearly involving multiple family members beyond the core unit. And I wasn't there. I hadn't been invited, hadn't been told. It wasn't an oversight. It felt deliberate. A carefully staged display of the family I wasn't a part of, paraded right in front of me. The feeling was worse than just being left out. It was a public, undeniable declaration of my outsider status. My mind raced. All those times they were vague. Dad acting completely normal when I helped him just last week. The silence leading up to the weekend. It clicked. They didn't just forget. They intentionally excluded me from this. After everything, a wave of nausea washed over me, followed by a cold, hard ache that settled deep in my chest. I scrolled back through my texts. Nothing. Not even a courtesy text. I checked the group chat. Dead. I sent a text to Levi, trying to keep it light. Hey, looks like a great spot you guys are at. Enjoy. Read. No reply. The silence from him confirmed everything. My hand started to shake slightly. I decided I needed to call Dad. I had to know. I called his cell. He answered on the second ring. A curt, "Yeah? What is it?" in his voice. Distant laughter, glasses clinking. The sounds of their perfect getaway echoed through the receiver. "Hey, Dad," I said, my voice feeling strangely calm, detached. "I saw some pictures. Looks like you guys are up at Lake Arrowhead." A noticeable pause. A heavy silence where he seemed to be weighing his words, deciding what to say. Then, grudgingly, "Yeah, we're here. It's Father's Day. Levi put this together." "Right?" I said, my voice still steady. "Why? Why wasn't I invited?" His tone shifted instantly. It became cold, sharp, impatient. "Owen, come on. This was a family thing. My family. The core. You're not really part of this family the way Levi and his boys are. This isn't your scene." The bluntness of it stole my breath. I actually let out a short, sharp laugh, a sound of disbelief. It couldn't be real. What is that even supposed to mean, Dad?" His voice hardened further, laced with a bitter resentment I hadn't fully understood before. "It means you're a profound disappointment, Owen. You didn't follow the path I laid out. You chose this life, in the city, no real family, doing whatever it is you do that I can't even explain to people." He scoffed. "It's not tangible. It's not real work to me. You don't fit, Owen. You never really did. I actively avoid telling people you're my son unless I absolutely have to. It's frankly embarrassing." He connected it explicitly to my career, my marital status, my childless life, everything that deviated from the traditional path Levi had taken, the path Dad approved of. I just stood there, numb, the words like ice shards in my gut. I could hear background noise from their perfect trip, more laughter, relaxed conversation. Then Mom's voice, sharp and accusatory, cut through the air, like she'd been listening or was on speaker. "Oh God, Owen, what now? Just stop it. Stop calling and bothering your father. Why do you always have to make a scene and ruin things? Why can't you just let us have one nice day? Just let them enjoy their time. You're being selfish and dramatic, Owen, always causing problems." There is no sympathy, just anger and blame, framing my hurt as an attack on them. A sudden, profound calm settled over me. The pain was there, searing, but beneath it was an absolute, chilling clarity. Their words weren't just cruel. They were a definitive statement of where I stood. There was no misunderstanding possible. This was it. My role wasn't beloved son. It was useful tool, to be put away when not needed, an embarrassment to be hidden. I didn't argue, didn't plead. There was nothing to beg for. "I see," I said, my voice flat, quiet. "Thank you for clarifying where I stand. Enjoy the rest of your trip. Enjoy your real family." And I hung up. I placed my phone on the counter, deliberately, no force, but the action felt monumentally heavy. The silence in my apartment was absolute. The smiling faces of the real family were still on Layla's profile, a stark, mocking contrast to my reality. The ache was now a cold, hard weight. Done. I was just done. The decision was made in that instant. If I wasn't family, if I was just a disappointment and a problem to be hidden away, fine. They could live with the consequences of that. I immediately went through my phone, my movements precise and curated. Muted the family group chat permanently. Blocked Dad's, Mom's, and Levi's main numbers. Archived years of text message threads, deleting ones that held any trace of a false hope for connection. I went through my apartment, pulling down photos, putting away gifts. A physical and digital cleansing. It felt necessary. Almost immediately, a text popped up from Mom on a number I hadn't blocked yet. "Don't make this a big dramatic thing, Owen. Just drop it." A few minutes later, Levi texted, "Seriously, grow up. "Bro, don't ruin Father's Day for Dad." I ignored them both. That night was long. Sleep was impossible. I replayed their words, the images of the trip, over and over. The confusion was gone, replaced by a quiet, seething anger and a terrifying sense of liberation. If I wasn't family, if I was just a disappointment and a problem, fine. They could deal with the consequences of needing the person they just discarded. The next few days were calm on my end. I went to work, did my job, ate, slept. But beneath the surface, a cold, calculated plan was solidifying. For years, I had been the invisible hand running crucial parts of their world. More than just tech support. I was the architect and sole administrator of their entire digital ecosystem, particularly for my father's business. Dad ran a traditional business, built on old-school relationships, but completely reliant in the modern age on the systems I built and maintained. Dad was technologically illiterate. Levi had no interest or aptitude for anything beyond basic phone apps. So, I built it all from the ground up. The primary business banking portals, including payroll processing and major transaction approvals. The customized client relationship management software I designed to fit their specific needs. Critical industry software licenses tied to my accounts. The business website, domain names, hosting, secure cloud storage for all their essential documents, contracts, client records, financial statements. I set it all up, managed it daily, updated it, paid the subscriptions linked to my corporate credit card, ensured security. I was the single point of failure, and they didn't even realize it. They just gave me a vague amount of money occasionally, sometimes late, and told me to handle it. I was never paid for my time, never truly thanked. It was just my expected role, the useful son. My role as the fixer wasn't just about current tech. Years ago, maybe a decade back, my father made a catastrophic financial and potentially legal blunder in his business. It involved a bad partnership, shady contracts, hidden debts, and Dad's own negligence. It could have cost him everything, bankrupting the business, ruining his reputation, maybe even leading to legal charges. I spent months, often working in secret, using my skills in finance, tech, and wading through complex legal documents, finding loopholes, uncovering hidden assets, negotiating with furious creditors and lawyers. I worked tirelessly. I saved him. I saved the business, the family's reputation, their financial stability. It required intricate digital tracing and securing assets. But Dad never acknowledged the severity of what happened or my critical role in fixing it. He resented needing my help, resented my capability in areas he didn't understand. He downplayed the crisis I averted in my effort, maybe even implying Levi, who did absolutely nothing, was more supportive. That event became the unspoken source of Dad's disappointment in me. He couldn't call me incompetent, so he found other ways to diminish me, focusing on my life choices as evidence of my supposed shortcomings, while praising Levi for simply following a conventional path. He resented owing me for saving him, and that resentment festered, becoming the root of his cruelty. And because of that past incident, because I saw how easily Dad could make a mess and try to hide it, I built safeguards into the systems I created. Subtle monitoring protocols, redundant logging, secure backups only I knew about. I didn't do it with a plan to use it against them, but as a professional precaution, a way to ensure things were handled correctly and to protect myself if things went wrong. Over the years, I unintentionally accumulated a detailed digital history of their activities, including some ongoing questionable financial practices, hidden debts, and manipulative dealings. I knew things about their business and finances they thought were completely hidden. This quiet knowledge became my significant, unexpected leverage. My cousin Sarah, who had always been more observant and less caught up in the family's illusions, had quietly sensed the unfairness towards me over the years. She wasn't involved in the business drama, lived a more independent life like I did. She sent me a quiet message after seeing Layla's Father's Day posts. "Hey Owen, saw Layla's pics. Everything okay?" Looked like a big thing. It wasn't prying, just genuine concern. I didn't detail everything immediately, but I knew she was different. Unlike Uncle Robert, Dad's intimidating enforcer who I knew would eventually make an appearance. Sarah, was a potential ally, someone grounded in a different reality from the rest of the families. On Tuesday morning, with a cold, focused resolve, I began the process. This wasn't revenge in a fit of rage. This was a strategic, calculated withdrawal of the essential infrastructure they had relied on for years. I accessed every system. I didn't just change passwords. I initiated administrative processes that were complex and irreversible without specific, high-level knowledge only I possessed. I transferred domain ownerships to a holding account I controlled, revoked administrator privileges across all platforms: banking, CRM, software licenses, cloud storage. I changed recovery emails and phone numbers to secure lines only I could access. I initiated processes to freeze specific family investment accounts I managed, citing a security review I had supposedly initiated earlier. I alerted relevant financial institutions and software providers about potential unauthorized changes tied to their old access points, ensuring they would flag and block any future login attempt from Dad or Levi, requiring verification they couldn't possibly provide. I locked down the secure cloud storage containing all their essential business documents, contracts, client records, and financial statements. Access was now completely impossible for them. I did this systematically, over 2 days, ensuring maximum disruption and redundancy in my control. As I worked, I meticulously backed up all my own documentation, logs of the systems I built, records of my maintenance, screenshots of their Father's Day posts, copies of their subsequent messages, call recordings, and, critically, the monitoring data showing their financial activities and Dad's past blunder. I was preparing for war, using their own reliance as the weapon. The family didn't grasp the magnitude of what was happening at first. Wednesday morning, Levi texts, "Hey, having trouble with the client's software login. Can you remote in and fix it quick?" A few hours later, Mom, Owen, Dad's business email on his phone is asking for a weird code. He can't get in. Can you help? Their expectation was total. My replies were minimal, factual, devoid of the usual helpfulness. Contact software provider customer support. Login details are tied to the account owner's verification process. That system is no longer under my administration. You'll need to follow standard recovery procedures. My refusal to jump, my calm, unhelpful precision, was clearly infuriating because it offered no immediate path forward. By Thursday, confusion had escalated to dawning panic. The technical issues weren't isolated glitches. They were cascading failures hitting critical business functions. Payroll couldn't be processed, checks bounced, or couldn't be issued. Major client accounts were inaccessible in the CRM, leading to missed deadlines and angry calls. The website went down due to failed domain verification I triggered. Invoicing systems were frozen. The business was grinding to a halt. Calls and texts from Levi and Mom became frantic, demanding, then accusatory. "What did you do, Owen? Payroll didn't go through. People are calling. Dad is losing it, Owen. Fix this now." This isn't funny. I ignored most of them, focusing on securing my own position and documenting their increasingly desperate messages. Then came the call from Uncle Robert. His number was blocked, but I recognized the burner number. I answered. His voice was cold, hard, utterly devoid of any familial warmth. "Owen, Robert here. Stop playing games. You're hurting your father's business. Badly. You know that has consequences. For everyone. People talk. It wouldn't be good for your reputation. Or other things." He was referencing my career, my life, but also hinting at the secrets I held, the knowledge I had. Turn everything back on. Now. This stops today. He wasn't asking. He was delivering a chilling, deliberate threat, leveraging his influence and knowledge of the family's underbelly. My response was calm, steady. "My actions have consequences too, Robert. Just like everyone else's. Actions have consequences. Perhaps you should talk to Dad about the consequences of his own actions." And I hung up, leaving him on the line. That afternoon, Dad called from a different number. His tone was a volatile mix of raging fury, disbelief, and burgeoning desperation. He didn't apologize for Father's Day. Not even a hint of it. He launched into a full-blown verbal assault, accusing me of sabotage, of being a malicious saboteur trying to destroy him, of being an ungrateful son who was biting the hand that fed him. He demanded I restore access immediately, repeating Levi in Mom's lines. And then the false accusations started in earnest. He accused me of stealing client data, of embezzling funds while I had access to the accounts, of illegally interfering with his business systems out of pure spite. This was a calculated move, laying the groundwork for potential legal action or a police report against me. It was designed to flip the script and make me the criminal. My response was outwardly calm, measured, but there was a cold, hard edge to my voice. You said I wasn't family, Dad. I repeated his words, throwing them back at him. You said I was a disappointment you don't tell people about, an embarrassment. Why would I do family work for someone who says that? You wanted real family? You deal with this. Figure it out yourself, like a real dad would. As for his accusations, my voice dropped, becoming sharper. Be very careful what you accuse me of, Dad. Very careful. I have records. Records of every single transaction I processed. Records of every system I built, and why. Records of your instructions. And records of other things, too. Don't make this worse for yourselves. Don't make me expose things you've worked hard to keep hidden. I was hinting at the monitoring data, at the past blunder, at the knowledge I held. I hung up before he could respond, leaving him spluttering in disbelief and rage. The immediate, catastrophic consequence of his actions was unfolding precisely as I knew it would. A major client payment, vital for cash flow, was missed because the accounts were inaccessible. A huge contract signing was canceled because they couldn't access essential documents in the cloud or communicate securely. Their world was imploding, and they had handed me the match on Father's Day. The chaos for my family wasn't just financial. It became intensely personal and public. The business was effectively non-operational, hemorrhaging clients, facing severe penalties for missed payments and deadlines. Financial pressure mounted to an unbearable degree. Their desperation fueled increasingly aggressive tactics. Mom showed up at my apartment again, no longer just talking guilt. She was a whirlwind of panic and rage. I opened the door a crack, but she forced her way in, pushing past me with surprising strength. She screamed, pleaded, then became physically violent, grabbing my arm, trying to slap my face, blocking my path, demanding access details, yelling about how I was destroying her family, her husband's life work, how I was heartless. You're killing your father, Owen. His business is ruined. You're doing this on purpose. How can you be so cruel? This isn't you. Stop this right now. I blocked her attempts to hit me, held her at arm's length, and calmly, coldly, told her she needed to leave. You call me a problem, Mom. You said I always ruined things. You said I wasn't family. I'm just acting on that. Now get out. She eventually stormed out, sobbing and furious, slamming the door. A couple of nights later, Levi showed up. Late. He was pounding on the door, yelling obscenities, completely losing control. Open the door, Owen. You piece of S******. Look what you did. Dads go to lose everything. You did this. You coward. Open the goddamn door. He was trying to shoulder the door, to physically force his way in. I didn't open it. I just stood in my hallway, listening to his pathetic, enraged attempts, letting him wear himself out. He eventually gave up, kicking the door hard enough to leave a mark before stumbling away. Meanwhile, the flying monkeys were everywhere, a full-blown chorus of condemnation. Aunt Carol sent me long, self-righteous emails about the sanctity of family. Forgiveness is divine, and how I was breaking my mother's heart, completely ignoring the context of why I had cut contact. Cousin Christian posted passive-aggressive memes about family leeches and people who only care about themselves. Other relatives texted or called, repeating lines fed to them by Mom and Dad. Just fix it, Owen. It's Father's Day weekend drama. Let it go. Your father is sick with worry. They're doing this to him. Layla, fueled by her own panic about losing their financial security and her carefully constructed social image, went into overdrive on social media. She posted tearful stories about unforeseen business hardships and malicious interference, portraying me as a rogue, unstable relative who was intentionally destroying the family out of spite. She posted pictures of her sons looking sad or dad looking haggard, trying to garner maximum sympathy and turn their shared social circle against me. The smear campaign was vicious and public. And then came the escalation I knew was likely. The false accusations turned official, legal/authority involvement. Based on Dad's fabricated claims of theft and sabotage, either Uncle Robert's lawyer sent me an extremely aggressive cease and desist letter threatening massive lawsuits and criminal charges, or worse, the police showed up at my door, asking questions based on a formal report filed against me. This was their ultimate play. Use the law, use the threat of prison or financial ruin for me, to force me to give them access back and disappear. But I was ready. My calmness wasn't just emotional, it was strategic. When the legal threat came, I forwarded everything to my own lawyer, a sharp contact I'd made through my work. He reviewed my documentation, the Father's Day texts, the call recordings, the logs of the systems, the evidence of their incompetence, the initial dismissive messages, and my monitoring data. He advised me on how to respond. When the police showed up, if they did, I was calm, respectful, and factual. I presented them with my documentation, proof that I built and owned the administration of these systems, logs showing my actions were administrative access changes, not theft, and subtly, I mentioned the existence of information I held regarding their business practices that might be relevant to understanding the true context of their report. My preparation turned their attempt to weaponize the legal system against me into a potential investigation into their activities. I didn't just defend myself. I turned their own weapon back on them. I used my documentation and cousin Sarah's quiet help. She confirmed details about Dad's panic, who they were talking to, how lost they were, to calmly counter the smear campaign too, subtly getting factual screenshots to people outside their immediate circle, letting the truth speak for itself. My professional reputation remained intact because I had proof and acted proactively. It had been over 2 weeks since Father's Day. The family business was, for all intents and purposes, dead. Clients were gone. Employees were leaving. Finances were in utter chaos. Penalties and late fees were piling up. Their carefully cultivated public image was in tatters within their social and business community due to the very public collapse and the rumors, some started by them, some by me countering their lies. The pressure had completely fractured their internal dynamic. Levi was reportedly on the verge of a breakdown, blaming Dad. Mom was a wreck of guilt and stress. Layla had indeed taken the kids to her sister's house, unable to deal with the financial ruin and stress. They had lost everything they valued most: money, status, control, and the illusion of their perfect, united family. They were cornered, desperate, and had nowhere left to turn. And then they came to my apartment. All of them. Dad, Mom, Levi, maybe even a quiet, defeated Layla or a furious, impotent Uncle Robert stood back near the car. It was the final, desperate act. They were standing on my doorstep, not pounding with rage like before, but with a raw, broken desperation that was chilling. Their faces were haggard, eyes red-rimmed, clothes looking slightly disheveled. They were begging now, their voices hoarse from crying or yelling, devoid of any pride or anger. "Owen, please, open the door. We have nothing left. You destroyed us. We're ruined. The business is dead. We'll lose the house. Levi is falling apart. The kids are scared. Please talk to us. We need you. You have to fix it." Their pleas were a litany of the material and social ruin I had orchestrated simply by removing myself and the systems I controlled. I stood in my hallway, listening to them, the sound of their brokenness filling the space. It was the culmination of decades of being the second-best son, the disappointment, the unpaid help, the scapegoat. The pain was still a dull ache in my chest, a scar, but the overriding feeling was one of absolute, unbreakable resolve. They were in chaos. I was calm, centered, in control. I had anticipated this moment, planned for it. I opened the door, just wide enough to see them, their desperate faces contorted with pleading. I didn't invite them in. They fell silent, hope flickering in their eyes for a second, thinking I'd finally caved. My voice was quiet, steady, utterly devoid of the emotion they wanted to exploit. You said I wasn't family. I began looking each of them in the eye, letting my gaze rest on Dad, then Mom, then Levi. You said I was a disappointment, an embarrassment you don't tell people about. I gestured slightly towards them. You threw me away, on Father's Day, publicly, for everyone to see on social media. Their faces twisted, starting to protest, whimpering, but I held up a hand, stopping them. My voice remained calm, but a hard steel entered it. Then you call me a problem for daring to feel hurt. You try to force your way into my home. You physically attack me on my own doorstep. You try to lie to the police about me, make me a criminal to cover your own failures. You try to ruin my professional reputation. You spread lies about me to everyone we know, painting me as a monster. I paused, letting the weight of each action hang in the air. You did all of that to someone you claimed wasn't even family, to someone who only ever helped you, saved you. I looked at Dad, then Uncle Robert, if he was there, my gaze unflinching. You accused me of sabotage, of theft. You thought you could threaten me, legally and otherwise, to force me back into line, back into being your unpaid servant. My voice was low now, dangerous, but I was ready. I have records. Every message, every call recording, every log of your incompetence and reliance on me. I have proof of your false police report, and I have the monitoring data, the data that shows your financial irregularities. I have evidence of the debt you hid. I know everything. Their faces went utterly ashen. Disbelief, then fear flickered in their eyes. They hadn't expected this. They thought I was just a technical guy they could bully or accuse. They hadn't grasped the depth of my knowledge or my preparation. You destroyed the family you claimed was real. I continued, my voice cutting through the silent terror. You valued money, status, and a specific, fake image more than you valued the person who actually held your world together. You thought you could treat me like a disposable tool, discard me when I wasn't convenient, publicly humiliate me, and then demand I fix everything when your own actions had consequences. I delivered the final, devastating blow. There is nothing you can offer me now that I want. No apology is sufficient. No amount of money can undo what you did or how you made me feel for decades. You destroyed the possibility of fixing this. And even if by some miracle you could find a way to rebuild, which you can't without me, I have taken steps to ensure that any attempt to replicate what I built or to recover certain assets will be incredibly difficult. And attempting to access or move things incorrectly will only flag your activities and potentially expose those other things I know about. My eyes were cold, hard. You chose to cut me out. You chose to make me an outsider. You chose to burn the bridge and then tried to beat me into building it again. This is the consequence. You wanted me gone? I'm gone. You wanted to be real family without me? Now you are. You broke it. You deal with it. I looked at them one last time. Dad, completely defeated, leaning against the door frame. Levi, staring blankly, broken. This is over, I said, my voice quiet but utterly final. I closed the door, gently, with a quiet click that sounded deafening in the aftermath of their despair. The sound of their muffled cries, their broken pleas, their desperate calls of my name faded as I leaned my back against the closed door. There was no triumphant feeling, not a flicker of joy. Just exhaustion, a profound sadness for the family I never truly had, the son I was supposed to be but never could be for them, and a terrifying, exhilarating sense of freedom. I had been the fixer, the disappointment, the problem, the scapegoat. I had saved them and been punished for it. Now I was just Owen, and I was finally completely, irrevocably free. They were left to face the full, devastating, and potentially public consequences of breaking the person who held their entire fragile world together. It's quiet now. The banging and crying stopped a long while ago. I guess this is what happens when you push someone too far, discard the person you rely on most, and then try to demand they save you from the ruin you created. I don't know what comes next for them, and honestly, I don't care anymore. My world is quiet now, and I'm finally ready to just live in it, without their weight, without their judgment, without their demands. This is my ending.